We'll go ahead and get started like we usually do. So let's have a seat and get situated so that we can kind of check in with our bodies today. So once you find the seated position that works best for you, I want you to take a deep breath in through the nose and a big sigh through the mouth. It's just kind of marking the beginning of your practice, and just kind of start to align your spine, settle into your skin, close your eyes, begin your Ujjayi breathing. Noticing body, paying attention to the sound of your breath. Just kind of noticing the speed and quality of your thoughts. Noticing any emotions you might be feeling. And kind of taking note of what your energy feels like right now. And then take a moment to set your own personal intention for your practice. When you're clear about your intention, bring your palms together in front of your heart. Take another deep breath in. Sigh it out the mouth. Relax your arms. Just roll your shoulders back a few times. And I want you to go slow enough that you can really feel each part of the movement. So as you begin to inhale, those shoulders should be sneaking up towards the ears. And then you start to squeeze them together so that as you exhale, you can feel them pull together and pull down the back, and then separate as you inhale. So you can squeeze them up again. Begin to exhale as you squeeze them together and pull them down the back. Let's do that one more time. Good. Then we're just going to transition to hands and knees. So we'll do some very traditional cat-cows. I want you to be very mindful of how it feels when you inhale and you open the chest. So the breathing on cat-cows, I know some newer teachers teach it the opposite, but I want you to think in terms of you can feel the front of your torso balloon out when you breathe in, usually, and we're enhancing that. So when you breathe in, that is the arch of the back. And then when you breathe out, you're rounding your back, kind of like you're trying to squeeze all the air out. So you know at the end of an exhale, if you fully exhale, your navel pulls in towards your spine. And so you're enhancing that with your exhale here. So just be really mindful, inhaling, really allowing the front side of your body to inflate, and then exhaling, now really pressing all of the air out. Let's do that one more time. And then go ahead and do any lateral movement you might want to do. I'm not going to cheat you out of being a sassy cat today if you want to do that. So you can circle the hips or do little side bends, whatever feels good to you. Take a couple more breaths doing any kind of movement that just loosens up the spine. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and take a child's pose. Breathe into your low back, allow it to expand. And then on your next inhale, you're going to come forward into Sphinx. And we want to do both actions with our Sphinx today. So we want to lengthen the low back by bringing the big toes together and letting the heels drop open. And we want to pull the chest forward and open the heart. So the shoulders pull down the back, chest lifts slightly. And you really use your upper body strength here and pull with your arms. so that you get both effects. The first one is that lumbar spine lengthening, low back lengthening, and the second is heart and chest opening. And then let's take downward facing dog. Spread your palms, plant them flat, and then just shoot your tailbone up and back. Feel free to wiggle those feet a little bit if you need to, once or twice. And then just find some stillness here. And I want you to pay attention to shoulders and chest. So your chest is sinking here a little bit, but you keep the shoulders broad so that there is no compression in the neck. And then we'll go ahead and walk our feet forward. Keep the knees bent. Hang in ragdoll for a couple of breaths. Make sure your neck is relaxed, of course. And then we're going to inhale and reach the arms all the way up and overhead. Stretch up. And then exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Just straight up for me. Lift your chest. Now start reaching the arms back a little bit. Just the arms. And then lift the chest, and only if it feels okay, slightly roll your rib cage back. Now there's a little trick that I'll kind of share with you here that helps eliminate compression in the low back when we arch. Just imagine, even though your legs are going to stay straight, I want you to imagine that your knees are squeezing together and the upper thigh bones are separating. Just imagine that. It's this neat little thing that your pelvis just kind of automatically adjusts when you do that, so you don't get compression in the low back. On your next exhale, go ahead and fold forward to your standing forward bend. And then inhale, look up halfway. And exhale back down. Step back with your right foot. You've got a left foot forward lunge. Just hold that for a couple of breaths. And then drop the right knee down. We're going to raise the arms up and overhead. And of course, we tilt the pelvis, lift the rib cage, and let the hips move forward. So we're tilting the pelvis back. We want to really focus on tightening the muscles at the base of the right buttock so that the front of the right hip feels a release. Once you get that, maintain it. Don't get all slack here. Keep that right front hip opening, and then only if it feels okay, lift the rib cage and roll it back slightly. Now this is going to be plenty for some of you, but if you feel like you can or you want to, right hand is going to come to the mat, left arm reaches behind, and maybe you catch that right foot in your left hand. Keep the hips sinking forward for that right front hip opener. Take one more breath. Release your right foot if you've got it. Otherwise, bring both hands down to the ground, and we're just going to rock the hips back, extend the left leg, and get into that left hamstring. Let's take a couple of breaths here. From here, we just take the left knee back to meet the right knee. You can kind of wag your tail if you need to. And then from this point on, those of you that like doing regular vinyasas, you may do that anytime we do child's pose. So we're heading into child's pose now. And then from child's pose, we'll take one more Sphinx just to lengthen out and open the heart. And then downward facing dog. Make sure you're lengthening your spine, of course, in your down dog, but that you're also being really mindful of your shoulders. And then step your right foot forward. So now forward lunge. We got both sides. Hold your legs. And then we'll drop the left knee down. Bring the arms up and overhead, just like we did on the other side. Be very particular about tilting the pelvis back and letting the hips move forward until you feel that left front hip opening. Really maintain that left front hip opening, and then lift the chest and maybe roll it back a little bit. So you're keeping the muscles right underneath your left buttock nice and tight, so that the front of the left hip is opening. And then we'll go ahead and bring, oh, I don't want to cheat you out of doing the really fun part. You can either stay there, or if you want, take your left hand to the mat. Reach the right hand behind you and catch your left foot. Pelvis is still tilted. Left hip is still sinking towards the mat. And then if you've got your left foot, release it. Otherwise, both hands to the ground. Just extend your right leg. Flex the ankle and toes. Heart pulls forward. And then bend your right knee. Step forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, palms together in front of the heart. We're going to interlace the fingers behind the back and just kind of pause for a moment and squeeze your shoulder blades together and see if your arms go straight. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. And if they don't, it's okay. I don't want you to force it, but this will kind of give us some information for later on. So if the elbows are straight, you'll have the opportunity to do the same arm position in a bridge later. And if the elbows are not straight, then I don't want you trying to do this in bridge. So there's a good little indicator there. So really squeezing shoulder blades together, regardless of whether the elbows are straight or not. Start to hinge at your hips. Bend your knees if your hamstrings are tight. Relax your neck and begin to just reach those arms up towards the ceiling. Or if you have a lot of shoulder mobility, continue reaching them up beyond the ceiling towards your head. 3 more breaths here. On your next inhale, come on back up. And as you exhale, release the arms, roll the shoulders back. And then bring your palms together in front of your heart. If your feet are not already separated about hip distance, please do that now, like hip bone distance. So if you look down, it's maybe, 7 or 8 inches between your feet. And we're going to maintain that distance. We're going to inhale and reach the arms up, and then exhale and step the left foot back for warrior 1. And the reason we keep the hip distance is we want the hips rotated forward. So your right knee is going to bend. I want you to be particular again about trying to tilt the pelvis back. It's harder to do in warrior 1 and keep a straight left leg here. So I understand there are some challenges. This helps us keep our focus in our body. Really try and find that straight left leg and tilted pelvis so that if you bend your knee ever so slightly more, you can feel the stretch on the front of your left hip. 1 more breath here. And then if you're able, we're going to lift off for dancer pose. You may grab the outside edge of your foot this time. You're just going to reach back with your left hand, grab the left foot or ankle, tilt the pelvis back, pull the leg back. And then if you want to lean into it, you can. And if you need to hang on to something, of course, you may do so. I really just want you to open up the front of your left hip as well as left shoulder. If you've got enough control, just put your left foot back where you got it. Arms are overhead. Warrior one again, tilt the pelvis. And then step forward, palms together, feet are hip distance apart. And we'll do the other side. We're gonna inhale and reach the arms up and step back with the right foot. Try and get the hips to rotate forward. Do your best with a straight right leg, tilted pelvis, and then we let the hips drop a little more, trying to find sensation in the front of the right hip. You just kind of have to fine tune it breath by breath, moment by moment. And then when you get it, we'll take one more breath here. And again, we're gonna lift off for dancer. So it's okay on this one to grab the outside edge of the foot. So you just kind of reach back with your right hand for that right foot or ankle. Tuck your tailbone under, pull the leg back. And if you'd like to lean into it, you may. I really want you to feel sensation on the front of your right hip and right shoulder. And then if you have enough control, put your right foot back down where you got it. Arms are overhead. Warrior one, finding that sensation in the front of the right hip again. And then step your right foot forward, palms together. Inhale, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, fold forward into your standing forward bend. I'm gonna have you hold this for a couple of breaths. It's a nice counter pose to what you just did and what you'll be doing a little more of. And then from here, look up halfway and back down. And you're gonna step back onto hands and knees. So we're gonna work into a half heart opener. Left forearm is across the front of the mat. Forehead rests down onto the left forearm. Right forearm reaches very strongly in front of you while the tailbone pulls back. And please keep your right arm straight. So don't let that right elbow relax onto the mat. You're trying to sink your armpit down towards the mat. So you should feel the stretching, really, truly kind of in the right armpit. Take one more breath. And then we'll just switch sides. Bring your left forearm across the front of the mat. Rest your forehead on it. Left arm reaches way out. Tailbone reaches back. And so that left armpit is kind of trying to drop down towards the mat. That's where you should feel the stretch. And coming out of that, give yourself a little tail wag. And then from here, if you need to, you can turn the toes under. We're going to be doing a half camel. So come on up to kneeling. And what I really want you to feel again as we're kind of reaching back is getting that armpit stretch and front hip stretch. So we're really opening up front of the shoulders, front of the hips, all right? So I'm gonna have my toes turned under because I might reach for a heel and I need my heels closer to me because my back is a little tight. If you know that you have a pretty flexible, bendy back, please feel free to untuck your toes. And if you're on the other end of the spectrum and you know that you have an exceptionally tight back, please feel free to keep a hand at your sacrum. We're gonna start with both hands on the hips to make sure that we're strongly tilting the pelvis back. You should feel the muscles at the base of your buns nice and tight. Then you're gonna push both hips forward. Lift your chest and begin to arch back slightly. The first thing I want you to do, keep your left hand on the sacrum so the hips are still forward, is reach back with your right hand and let it be palm up. Now, if this feels really good right here, don't change a thing. But if you would like to, You can just reach your left hand back for your left heel. You want to keep your pelvis tilted back and your hips moving forward. Come all the way up. Both hands on the hips again. Tilt your pelvis back, so it's kind of like tucking the tailbone under. Push the hips forward. Lift the chest up. Keep your right hand at your sacrum initially. Take your left hand straight behind you, palm facing up. And then it's up to you if you want to stay right where you're at or if you want to take your right hand to your right heel. Either way, the hips continue to move forward. Come all the way up from that. Find your way into a full-on child's pose to let your back unwind for a moment. And then we're going to scoot forward onto our stomachs and play a little bit with half bow. Ardha Dhanurasana. So the first thing I'd like for you to do, if you can, is reach back with your right hand for your right foot or ankle. And if you have a hard time clasping that, you can always grab your pants. And you may grab from the inside or the outside. Either one is fine. Left hand and left foot are going to stay on the ground, by the way. And all we're trying to do is press the pubic bone into the mat and lift that right knee up off the ground. So what you should feel is opening on the front of your right hip and right shoulder. Release it down. Extend the right arm out, right leg out. If you can, you're going to reach back for your left foot or ankle or even clothing with your left hand. And you can grab the big toe side of the foot or the little toe side. It's just personal preference. Pubic bone is pressing into the mat. Basically, I'm asking you to tilt your pelvis back again. And then try and lift left knee up off your mat. And release. And then press into downward facing dog. So from here, walk your feet forward, standing forward bend. Inhale the arms up. And exhale, bring your palms together again. We're doing dancer again, but this time you are going to grab from the big toe side of the foot if you can. And if you need to, truly hang on to something. Again, we're trying to open up the front of the body. And pretty soon you'll get to your peak pose and then it will all be sweet, yummy stuff after that. I'd like you to stand on your left foot first. So you're either hanging on to something with your left hand or your left arm is up in the air. Your right hand is going to be an open palm, thumb pointing behind you. So you can just kind of reach back and put your right foot into your right hand. Tuck the tailbone under, lift the rib cage. You'll notice this is just like half bow, right? We're pushing that right leg back. You can imagine that you're trying to lift your right knee off the mat. And then if you want to lean into it and deepen the stretch, you can, but you don't have to. I want you to feel sensation on the front of your right thigh, front of the right shoulder. Keep breathing. And then come on out. And we'll do the other side. So either hanging on to something with the right hand or right arm up in the air. Left hand reaches back with an open palm to grab the big toe side of your left foot. Tailbone tucks, chest is lifting, leg is pushing back. Again, remember, it's almost like doing that half bow that we were doing. Imagine that you're just trying to lift your left knee off the mat. And then as much as you like, you can deepen the stretch, but really we're just trying to get front of the left hip and left shoulder to open. And then come on back up and release. Palms together. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, fold all the way forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale and look up. And exhale back down. Now listen, we're going to be getting back up again to standing, so don't get too excited. But from here, I'm going to have you just go ahead, sit on your mat, and lie back. Your peak pose today, and here we are at the peak, your peak pose today is bridge pose. But we're going to be really particular about doing it right, not just kind of sort of doing it, but really doing it right. So the first thing I want you to do is let your big toes touch each other, but the heels separate. So that makes your heels about sit bone distance apart. And then get your heels as close to your backside as your body allows. Then I want you to spread your toes out. So I really want you to feel the base of the big toe, the base of the little toe, and the center of your heel. You're going to stay really connected to your mat with the soles of your feet. Then we're going to bring our hands, palms down by the hips. So remember earlier when I asked you if you could straighten your elbows with your fingers interlaced behind your back? If you can, you'll be doing that underneath you when you lift up. If your elbows did not go straight when you were standing, you're not going to do that. You're going to do a different move, and we'll all start off that way. Right now, with your bum still on the ground, I want you to just kind of slightly roll to one side and pin your shoulder blade in towards the center of your back. You're going to feel more like you're on the back of the arms now, and that's perfect. Palms stay flat. And then we're going to push very strongly through those grounded feet and start lifting the hips. Now, a lot of people keep everything kind of tucked under. I want you to just do as much as you can. Instead of hanging out, I want you to push for all your worth through your feet. Tuck the tailbone under and keep pushing until you can feel the front of your hips. Then we're going to lift your rib cage. So this will be an end point for some of you. Those of you that were able to get your arms straight, now you're going to interlace your fingers and roll even more onto the back of the arms. The whole arm presses into the mat, and you push even harder through your feet to lift those hips. Tuck your tailbone, lift your rib cage, and breathe. Lower down slowly. Just let your bum hit the ground. Don't do anything else because we're going up one more time. Resist the urge to do what you want to do right now. I can't even say it because your brain will say, but she said. So resist the urge. All right, one more time. Heels as close to your bum as you can get them. Big toes touching, toes are spread. Very connected through the soles of the feet. Shoulder blades are folded in towards your spine. Palms are flat. Push through your feet to lift the hips. Tuck the tailbone under. Tilt the pelvis back. Keep pushing, 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 pushing through the feet. And then lift the rib cage. Either staying here or interlacing the fingers underneath you, rolling onto the back of the arms. You continue to drive through the soles of your feet. Strongly tilting the pelvis back and lifting the rib cage to get the front of the hips and the heart to open. On your next exhale, lower down. Now you can do what you want, which is to hug your knees in. I know you probably were dying to do that after the first one. But you get it now. Give yourself a nice little side-to-side rock. And I know you probably want to stay on your back, but trust me, you'll be happy you got up. So you can either roll to one side And transition to downward facing dog, or if you're feeling spunky today, you can just rock forward, plant your hands, and step your feet back. Downward facing dog. I want you to just lengthen for a moment. This should feel great. Palms are flat, shoulders are broad, hips are reaching back, heels are reaching down. Walk your feet forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, bring your palms together. Turn sideways and just take a moderately wide step. So kind of medium wide. You still want your feet a little wider than your shoulders, and you want your toes to rotate out a little bit. We're just going to traction now. So bend your knees, put your hands on your thighs. Elbows should be completely straight. Have them locked out. And then just push against the inside of your left thigh and twist and look over your right shoulder. You can bend the right elbow if you want to go a little deeper, but that left arm stays straight. And then just switch sides. Twist and look over your left shoulder. Press against the inside of that right thigh with a fully extended right arm. And then come all the way back up. You can toe heel your feet in. Come back to the front of the mat. Bring your feet together, bring your palms together. Big inhale, reach up. And as you exhale, fold forward, lengthening the spine. Inhale and look up halfway. Exhale, back down. Those of you that like vinyasas can go straight into it. The rest of us are really going to take this very well-earned child's pose. It's a beautiful counter pose to everything you've been doing. So drop your buns to your heels, forehead to the mat. And if you can do the traditional one with your hands back by your feet, that would be great. Take an extra breath. And then we'll scoot forward into one final Sphinx pose, just to give ourselves the opportunity to lengthen the spine one more time. And then for anyone who has done a full vinyasa, we will meet them in downward facing dog. Fingers are spread, palms are flat. Press your hips back. And then you may just walk your feet forward, have a seat with your legs extended, Dandasana, staff pose. Just taking a moment to connect those sit bones down, find good spinal alignment, activate your legs, balance your head on top of your spine, and just take a moment and breathe and notice how you're feeling. And then we're going to come into an easy cross-legged position. Just easy, as the little kids say, crisscross applesauce. So starting off with a super gentle twist, lift up through the crown of the head. You're going to be twisting to your right. I am not mirroring you today, my apologies. So you'll take your right hand behind you, left hand on your right knee, and you're just going to twist and look over that right shoulder. Really have the straightest spine you can. This should just kind of help us unwind the back, so to speak, from our back bending postures. Rotate around and bring your left hand behind you, right hand on the left knee. Again, super straight spine as you twist to the left. And come back to the center. If you're able, switch the crossing of the legs. And then we're going to put our hands on our knees and do 3 torso circles in each direction. Go nice and slow. When you're doing the forward part of the torso circle, that would be an exhale, and you'll be inhaling as you lean back. Doesn't matter which direction you're going, just to make sure that after your third one, you change and go the other way. One more. So if you're already done, you're just sitting up nice and tall. They'll all join you. And then just kind of roll the shoulders back a couple of times. Good. From here, we're gonna bring the soles of the feet together. I want you to go ahead and slide them out in front of you quite far. You still need to have the balls of the feet touching, so the base of the big toes, that little mound underneath that should still be touching. But other than that, your feet are way out in front of you. Clasp your ankles, and you get to decide how you lean forward here. So you need to do it with a straight spine, pulling the chest forward, or you can do it with a rounded spine, dropping the head down. Either way is fine, but you're just kind of trying to nestle your rib cage down between the thighs. And you should feel this in a pleasant way in your sacrum. So a little bit below your low back, but make sure it's pleasant. If it's not pleasant, then come out of it until it is. Come on up from that, fully extend the legs and lengthen out over both of them. Again, you have the same option. You may either extend the spine over your legs, or you can round the spine over your legs. Whichever feels better to you is fine today. As you come out of that, just give your legs a good wiggle. And we'll go ahead and roll onto our backs. This time you get to stay. Hug the knees in. Give yourself a little bit of a side-to-side rock if you would like. And then we're just going to do 3 quick lower abdominal contractions. The gentlest, easiest one, gentle being a relative term, but we're only doing 3 of them. It's not because I'm trying to get you to have abs of steel. Today, it's because I'm trying to get you to have a reflex release in the low back after all of that low back contracting. So if your knees are still in the air, you can feel that to get your back flat, you have to pull your knees into your chest. Well, that's one way to do it, but the other way to do it is to use the lower abdominal muscles, your transversus abdominis. And in order to do that, it's a pelvic tilt. And you've been doing a lot of that already. So we're going to get the knees directly over the hips. I want your thighs to be straight up and down, not pulling in towards you. So thighs are vertical. You should feel a little bit of an arch in the low back. That's natural and that's okay. Interlace your fingers behind your neck. Make sure it's your neck and not your head. And kind of point the elbows at the ceiling so that your neck is cradled. And then take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold your breath as you tilt the pelvis back to press the low back into the mat. And then exhale as you crunch up, bringing your elbows towards your thighs. Low back is flat. Empty your lungs. Inhale down. Hold the breath, flatten the back, make sure your thighs are still vertical. Exhale, crunching up, 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 elbows towards thighs. Breathe out all the air. Inhale down. Last one, flatten the back and then exhale and crunch. You really want to press your navel down. Make sure you're completely breathing all your air out. And then give your knees a nice squeeze again. Side to side rock. So we're going to keep the left knee hugged into the chest. Extend your right leg all the way out onto the ground. Just keep this left knee hugged in for a couple of breaths. So even though this is good for our intestinal health, it's called wind relieving pose, it's also incredibly good for releasing, in this case, the left side of the low back. And then we're going to transition this into an easy twist, but just a reminder, if you need to modify, you could bend both knees. What I'd like you to do is just keep your right hand on that left leg and just pull it across your body to the right. The foot can just kind of hang out. We're being a little more relaxed today. You are welcome to hook your left foot behind the right knee or thigh if you want, or you can just let it be more relaxed today. And then open your left arm out to the left and let your head turn to the left. So if this feels like too much on the back, bend your right knee as well. And if it feels like you really, really just want to go deeper, then you can hook the left toes behind your right thigh. We're just going to breathe here and start to soften and see if we can feel a little bit of sensation in the front of the left shoulder and left side of the low back. On your next inhale, roll onto your back again, just hugging that left knee in. You can bring the right knee up to meet it. And then extend the left leg all the way out onto the ground and just hug your right knee. So we'll hold this for a couple breaths so that the right side of the low back can release. And then open your right arm out to the right, and you're just gonna pull this right leg across your body using your left hand until you've pulled yourself into a twist. Again, modify it, adjust it, fine tune it, however you need to, so that your body is comfortable here. That can mean maybe bending both knees. It can mean maybe going deeper by hooking right toes behind left thigh. But you should be feeling a little something in the front of your right shoulder and the right side of your low back. On your next inhale, come on back up. And as you exhale, hug your right knee in and bring your left knee up to meet it. Give yourself a little side to side rock. And then it's up to you, and it depends also on your body. So I don't want you doing another bridge. We're done with all of that. But if your body can handle the beginnings of a plow pose, it would be fantastic. You've done enough inverting, but plow is such a beautiful antidote to backward bends. And plow is where you hike your hips into your hands and let your legs start to drop as though they're coming over your head. Now, if that's a bad idea for you because of neck or shoulder issues, then I would suggest you either put your hips on a block and let the legs float out, or you could just lie on your back and just kind of pull your legs towards you. So any of those are fine, but if you feel like you can get your hips into your hands, I would love for you to do that. And then just let the legs be straight and just let gravity take them. It doesn't matter if they get to the floor or not. We're just rounding the back. I want you to feel as though you can breathe. You should feel very comfortable. If this is not comfortable and you're trying plow, then you should definitely just lie on your back and hug your knees in, or you can put your hips on a block. We'll take about 3 more breaths here. Slowly coming out of whatever you're in. Hug those knees in. Reach down. Grab the outside edges of your feet. And just wiggle around a little bit in Happy Baby. Whatever feels good to you here, do that. You got about 3 or 4 more breaths. And then when you're ready, we'll bring the feet to the mat. I'd like you to let your knees drop open with the soles of the feet together. So for sure, after all of the back bending that you did, we want to lengthen the low back muscles just a little more before moving into Shavasana. So we're going to do 3 of those pelvic tilts. Just keep the knees wide, feet together on the mat. You can relax your arms, relax your neck, all that good stuff. And then the next time you breathe in, just tilt the pelvis back. So it's kind of like you're trying to press your low back into the mat. You want to feel the mat from between the shoulder blades all the way down towards your tailbone. And then the next time you breathe out, release and let a little bit of a natural arch come back into your spine. Breathe in, flatten the back, remove the arch from the spine. Keep breathing. And then just relax. Let the arch come back. One more time. Inhale, flattening your back into the mat. And then exhaling to release. Begin to extend the legs. Roll your feet in and out if that feels good to you, and then let them flop. Make sure that your glutes are soft. Your glutes have actually been working a lot because all of that backward or posterior tilting of the pelvis requires some gluteal action. So make sure your buns feel soft and relaxed. Your back should feel long and it should be comfortable. The neck should feel long. Your arms are below your shoulders. Your palms are facing up. Your shoulders should feel relaxed. Your jaw should be soft. Your eyes should be closed. Take a deep breath in. And just exhale with a big sigh, signaling the end of your movement and the beginning of Shavasana. And just take a few breaths, noticing that your body knows what to do here. You've practiced enough that as soon as you get into this position, the muscles go slack, everything softens. Your breath becomes softer and slower. And you can actually feel each inhale really well, because even though the breaths are smaller and gentler, you are more open and pliable and also more sensitive. And so I would like for you to feel the breath on the front side of your torso without changing your breath, without manipulating it. Don't try and deepen it. Just notice your sweet, gentle, shallow breaths, but still notice the movement around the chest and the rib cage and the belly. Notice if it's easy to stay with awareness of the breath on the front side of the torso, or if your mind keeps trying to wander. Just notice, don't judge, just notice. The breath is very soft and shallow and relaxed. It's very quiet and subtle. And yet so easy to discern because you've heightened your sensitivity by opening up your heart. And then remaining still, just observe your entire body. How does your body feel right now? You did a lot of movements, and you've also had some beautiful stillness here. How does your body feel as a result of that? Notice any thoughts, any emotions. Check back in with your energy. And then let's start to deepen the breath. So breathing in a little slower, a little deeper, a little fuller. Start to bring small little movements back. Fingers, toes. You can move the head or flutter the eyelashes. And then when you're ready, inhale. Extend your fingers, spread your toes. Exhale, relax them. Inhale, stretch, stretch, stretch to your fullest length. Exhale and relax. Hug your knees in. Give them a good squeeze. If you want to, you can even rock side to side. But then do roll to your right side and just pause for a moment. Just hang out, curled in a little ball on your right side. And then you can use your left hand in front of your chest and press yourself up to sitting. So as you find that same straight aligned spine that you had prior to practice, I want you to just bring your left hand to the center of your heart and your right hand to the center of your abdomen, so the heart and the solar plexus. Both of these got really opened up in your practice today. So bridge pose was your peak pose, and I'm sure you can remember that both places that you have your hands on were very stretched and expanded. So our pranayama today is simply going to be awareness of these two places where our hands are. We're just going to do deep, slow ujjayi breaths. You don't have to do a ratio. You don't have to count it. You certainly shouldn't struggle. So don't make it such a deep breath that you feel like you're using a lot of effort. But I want you to just think about how you feel when you are open on the front of your body. It's beautiful, it's receptive, and it can be vulnerable. And so when we place our hands here, it's almost like you're signaling to yourself that you will take care of you. It's so worth it to walk through the world open, and you also have to have your own back and be your own protector. So this is just letting you know that you're going to take care of you. So left hand at the heart, right hand at the abdomen. We just do slow, deep, nurturing ujjayi breaths here. So this pranayama is kind of like an affirmation that it's safe and okay to remain open because you are taking care of you. Two more breaths like this. And then just bring your palms together in front of your heart. Take a moment and honor this beautiful heart that your palms are in front of. Honor the fact that it's a gift to keep your heart open because it means that you're sharing your beautiful heart with the world. Take a moment in gratitude that you are that you are exactly as you are, where you are, as you should be all the time. No mistakes, no errors. It's perfect. You're perfect. Your heart is perfect. Take one more huge inhale. Big happy sigh. Palms to the forehead, just reminding us to stay present, to be in the moment. Palms to the lips, just reminding us to express our truth. And palms to the heart, reminding us to keep these beautiful hearts open, to take care of ourselves, and to practice kindness and compassion and unconditional love, and to make sure that we include ourselves in that. Thank you guys so much. Namaste.